Hi, I'm Charlotte with Freezer Meals 101. Welcome to this week's edition of What's for Dinner. This week was definitely very different from the average week because our area had a heat wave. And to explain how unusual that is for us, we live in Canada and today is like the coolest day we've had so far in this heat wave, and it's 31 degrees Celsius, which translates to, I looked this up before I shot this video today, so in Fahrenheit that is 87.8 degrees. And so normally we might reach this temperature, like today's temperature, like 1 to 3 times a year, and those days wouldn't be all in a row. So most people don't have air conditioning in their house. We definitely do not have air conditioning in our house. It has been so hot. But this week got to 38 degrees Celsius for 3 days in a row, and it was hot the day before that. It was like 36, I think. So 38 degrees translates into over 100 degrees Fahrenheit. And again, we are just not used to that here. So it's like crazy hot. And so I had to adapt everything that I cooked to make it so that we could survive and not have the kitchen be even hotter. So I'm just gonna go through like what we made this week and show you how we did it to adapt to our heat wave. And thankfully this weekend is supposed to go even a little cooler than today. So it should be bearable again. It should be to the point where we can, well, maybe not turn the oven on again, but where we could maybe cook on the stovetop or that kind of thing. So anyway, welcome, and let's get to what we had this week. So the first thing that we had was the Cajun butter salmon, and that was a new freezer meal that we'd made this last time when Christy and I did those 150 freezer meals. And it was a recipe that Christy had, and we just adapted it for the freezer, and it was so good. She was not kidding when she said it was delicious. It's completely amazing, so flavorful. It wasn't, even though it's, you know, Cajun butter, it wasn't spicy. It did have like the tiniest little hint of a kick, but it wasn't overpowering. It was just really nice. And so my husband cooked that up on the barbecue. I had to call Christy and ask her how to cook salmon on the barbecue because we usually just do ours in the oven, and I know that she does a lot more barbecue cooking than we do. So anyway, she gave me instructions, and I served that with the corn salad that I had made in our side dish freezer meals. And so I will put a link up there to the video with all of the side dish freezer meals because it's so nice to just be able to pull out like a side dish from your freezer, and then if you have your protein as a freezer meal and your side dish as a freezer meal, then it's done. So we had corn salad and Caesar salad with that, and that corn salad recipe can be cooked hot on the stove or you can serve it cold, but this week obviously everything was going to be served cold if possible. So we had that on the side, and then the next day we had chicken taco soup. Now you'll notice, or you might notice, that the label on this says the good one with the beer in it. And that's because we have tried probably 3 or 4 at least chicken taco soup recipes over the years, and this is the best one that we've found. So we just like to remind ourselves, like, this is the actual good one, and then we know what we're getting. I cooked it in the crock pot, which is how I always do it, and then shredded the chicken in there. But for this time, it was actually too hot to even have just even the crock pot in the house. So I literally brought my crock pot onto the deck and plugged that in outside and cooked it outside. And I was so glad that I did. I think it might be hotter in the air than it is in the crock pot. And I'm actually just shredding the chicken out here. And then I will bring the crock pot in, and this chicken taco soup will be all done. And we will have one more meal made. And then the next day, what we did is we took the leftovers from the chicken taco soup, because that recipe actually makes a lot. And even in our large family, we end up with leftovers. So we took the leftovers from that. Once they're in the fridge for a while, they kind of like become thicker and some of the liquid absorbs. So we used that to make wraps. Because that has corn and beans and chicken and a little bit of tomato and some spice, and it makes a really nice wrap. And my kids have done that before, but this time it was extra good because they could add to it what they wanted, but it's nice and cool. I didn't have to worry about cooking again or heating the house up at all again. And we're getting a second use out of the same meal, so it stretches the dollars a little further, and it was just a really, really easy thing to do. So they could add sour cream or salsa or hot sauce or cheese and personalize their wrap a little bit, but that was dinner, super easy. The next night, we did chili glazed chicken, another freezer meal, super, super easy to put together, of course, and we just took it out of the freezer, thawed it, and my husband cooked it on the barbecue. Now, pop in here and say that this week, my husband was my superhero. He does not enjoy barbecue cooking because he's colorblind, so he's always nervous that things might be pink and he won't know the difference, and so, he gets a little bit nervous about barbecue cooking, but he did all of our barbecue cooking this week and did a great job of it. Plus, he fixed a portable air conditioner that we had that was broken so that we could sleep in our room because we're up on the upstairs and it just gets so sweltering hot in this heat and we weren't really able to sleep with it. So he fixed up a portable air conditioner that we had that was old and in storage, got that going. He also got rid of a wasp nest that we had on the garage. So when we were starting to get like this huge amount of wasps in our yard, and especially by the garage, and he also set up like a system of little misters on the deck so that the deck was bearable and we could actually sit out there for longer than 1 second at a time without feeling like we were scorching. I don't know how people that live in the South do this all the time. Like, it was so hot. But anyway, so my husband was definitely the hero this week. And so he cooked up these chili glazed chicken, and I just made up my favorite pasta salad, which is a dill pickle pasta salad. I will put all these recipes below and I'll include that one as well. That is from Holly at Spend with Pennies. Really, really nice if you like the dill pickles. And I used the dill from our herb garden, so it was nice and fresh. And then the next day, we actually had a barbecue, and the COVID restrictions in our area lifted on July 1st. And so this is really the first time in like a year that we've been able to have people over. So that's where the mister on the deck came in really handy. And we barbecued hamburgers and hot dogs, and I made up a watermelon salad and a Greek salad. Again, I will put links to those recipes down below. And we just, had some fixings for the burgers. I used the leftovers from that pasta salad that I had made the day before. And we also had some, like munchy food things like veggie tray, spinach dip, and those kind of things. And it was so nice to be able to have people over again and like human beings. And anyway, it was just, we really enjoyed it. And again, because my husband had the mister on the deck, it just made it bearable so that we could all sit out there and visit and eat our food. Now, I was actually too busy visiting and forgot to video him barbecuing the burgers and hot dogs and the actual like finished burgers. But I did remember to video this little clip ahead of kind of the fixings that were sitting out. So I guess you'll just have to imagine that we cooked burgers. And I know you can probably vision how you can cook burgers and hot dogs on the barbecue. So anyway, that is how we survived food-wise this heat wave in our area. And we were able to use freezer meals to get us through and make it a little bit easier this week. Thank you so much for joining me today. I always love having you guys here, and especially love when you leave me comments down below. So leave me a comment, click subscribe if you're not already subscribed and you're looking for easy recipe ideas, and happy cooking.